terms of animal welfare, Australian zoos are held to a high standard in comparison to the rest of the world. With multiple laws and regulations placed on the construction and handling of a zoo, it is no surprise that Australian zoos are kept as ethical as possible. One of the most popular zoos in Sydney, the Taronga Zoo, is a prime example of Australia's recent emphasis on a balanced human and animal interaction. With regular welfare inspections and professionals on hand, Taronga Zoo has changed its focus from only animal entertainment to conservation and education as well. Such changes include an ethical sourcing of zoo animals, educating the public, species reintroduction, funding of wildlife research and conservation, as well as a consultation of a board of directors. Although these may seem standard in the current day and age, this newly improved zoo design has allowed for a vast development in the ethical, educational, and entertainment aspects of zoos.
Now, although animal welfare has come a long way compared to a few years back, there is still room for improvement in the current zoo designs. Here is Tommy with some additional information on the topic.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. As we can see at Taronga Zoo, there's not a lot of visitors anymore, but that's only due to the impact of COVID. Usually, there'd be hundreds of visitors walking down these paths, and that shows how important the entertainment is from zoos. Profit from international visitors to Australian zoos generate a net benefit of $58 million per annum alone. From an economical point of view, zoos are vital as a tourist attraction due to the large portion of endemic species housed in Australia. However, in terms of animal ethics, the increasing number of visitors can severely impact the animal's well-being. The emphasis of human dominance in the animal and visitor interaction places a large amount of stress in terms of noise, light, and scent pollution. These stress factors can lead to anti-predatory behavior, resulting in fear, anxiety, and consequently, an increase in susceptibility to diseases, decrease in immune function, appetite, and fertility. Some animals, on the other hand, use the presence of visitors to relieve their boredom and maintain their mental health through stimulation. As such, zoos must factor in these issues and design an enclosure to allow for safe space away from the visitors, where the animal can access whenever they wish. A few zoos have these safe spaces. However, the majority of zoos design their enclosures for maximum public viewing through the placement of burrows and the use of glass panels. Similarly, the education provided by the zoos are severely limited due to the lack of natural stressors. These animals are left complacent and reduces the ability to depict an accurate representation of their natural behaviors. This type of education to children could be dangerous, since they may grow up assuming that all snakes do is stay still and all lions do is sunbathe. Various educational descriptions are provided along the enclosures of the animal. However, due to the placement, length, and structuring of the information provided, visitors rarely educate themselves on such topics. A sample size of over 2,800 students was surveyed after a trip to the zoo, revealing that 62% of them gained no new knowledge on the animals or environmental conservation. An increase in engaging activities along with incentives to read and learn can improve the efficiency of zoo education. The inability to mimic the animal's natural habitat in captivity has led to various debates on the ethics of zoos. One of their main issues is the inadequate cage space for the animal in comparison to their habitat in the wild. This has been linked to the development of abnormal behaviors known as zoochosis.
Sorry, Tommy, if I may interrupt you there. Why aren't zoos expanding the animal enclosures to compensate for their loss of natural habitat? Shouldn't animal welfare be top priority?
Yeah, I agree with you, Kaitlyn. Animal welfare should be top priority. However, the purpose of zoos being to educate and entertain the public has intruded on animal welfare. However, there has been a trend of increasing space and recreating the animal's natural habitat. But realistically speaking, it's impossible to expand the animal enclosures to provide the same amount of space they would have in the wild. The amount of money needed to buy the land necessary and renovate would exceed the zoo's budget. The large space will also mean a larger area to clean and maintain. It will also make visitors trek through more space with reduced opportunity to view these animals, reducing the entertainment and educational values of zoos, making an expansion of animal enclosures unfeasible. I will get to the compensation for space soon. Back to the limitations of zoos as a replacement of natural habitat. The structured lifestyle seen in zoos allows the animals to live comfortably and free of stress. However, these natural stress factors are vital in maintaining mental sharpness. Timed feedings can lead to a laid-back lifestyle, reducing the energy output required to find food sources seen in the wild. This reduces the animal's motivation and can lead to repetitive behaviors typical of zoochosis. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting to regularly starve the animals to increase motivation. The use of timed feedings is effective in reducing food aggression amongst animals. The timed feedings should be enough in proportion to maintain a healthy animal if they choose to rely solely on these feedings. However, treats should be provided through enrichment methods to reduce the animal's reliance on humans. To compensate these animals for the lack of space and need to find food, various enrichment activities can be offered to maintain engagement and physical stimulation. These methods can include balls to imitate prey movement, placement of food in hard-to-reach places to encourage movement, as well as critical thinking skills. Even with the use of enrichment, these do not substitute how animals behave in the wild, and can pose severe limitations of the public perception of wildlife. The inability to recreate the complex social structure of many animals who live in packs or herds can highly damage the animal's ability to socialize and behave with their fellow species, creating a skewed image of how these animals should behave naturally. There is also the question of housing highly intelligent species such as elephants and dolphins, who tend to fare worse in captivity compared to other animals.
From my limited knowledge of zoos, why do zoos still exist? There should be alternatives to keeping animals captive in limited spaces with the current technology. The German circus Roncalli has made a revolutionary step in animal entertainment by replacing animals with holograms. It shouldn't be much of a problem to replace the current zoos with these holograms.
That's actually a really interesting point you brought up, Kaitlyn. The use of holograms can bring out a new aspect of entertainment not seen previously, and can also replace animals who tend to fare badly under captivity. Money and space can be saved up in the long term if zoos invest in holograms instead of animals. This, however, should be done in moderation, as a fully holographic zoo will destroy the purpose of a real zoo. Holograms can reproduce images of species zoos are unable to get a hold on, such as the giant panda, but the experience of seeing one in real life cannot be replicated by holograms alone. We cannot simply replace zoos with holograms because zoos are essential for conservation. Many endangered animals have been reintroduced as a result of zoo initiatives and species reintroduction. They also provide funds for many conservation efforts, allowing many species to get back on their feet. Zoos are also important for researchers and conservationists who do not have the opportunity to work with rare animals, allowing for further insight into their behavior as well as biology. Although the animals are confined, many zoos provide enrichment activities for them to be more at home and activate their natural abilities and instincts. Right now, zoos are valuable assets towards animal conservation, awareness, and education. However, many zoos do not provide an adequate amount of care towards animals housed in their facilities in terms of their enclosure design and enrichment. Right now, zoos are valuable assets towards animal conservation, awareness, and education. However, many zoos do not provide an adequate amount of care towards the animals housed in their facilities in terms of their enclosure design and enrichment. This begs the question, does simply changing a zoo design allow for an ethical, educational, and entertainable zoo, or is the concept of a zoo itself flawed?